direct feed for all that is sports. Tip it off, we're live from the jump. Full court pressure when the baseline thump. NBA nights, WNBA shine. College hoops madness when it's bracket time. Men's game, women's game, every big take. One pass, one steal, one slam. Summer league, dream fever, worldwide Olympic gold with the game on the line. From the paint to the three, from the post to college history. Every league, every team, fast break brings that hardwood dream. Fast break, run the floor, let it fly. Fast break, touch the rim, kiss the sky. Fast break, every league, every take, Davidson, Crooks, and Locke on the break. Fast break, from the court to the street. Fast break, bringing hoops with the heat. ID Sports Radio, locked in. Of course, your direct feed for all that is sports. Dentarius, Locke, locked in. Davidson, Crooks with the courtside spin. Breaking down the stars, the grind, the crown. Fast breaks, got the whole game locked down. WNBA battles, NBA lights, college rivalries, tournament nights. FIBA, Olympics, Summer League shake. If it's hoops, we got it. Fast break. This is Fast Break with Davidson, Crooks, and Dentarius, Locke, IE Sports Radio. Your direct feed for all that is sports. Let's go.
What is up, everybody? What is up? What is up? This is Fast Break here, live for IE Sports Radio. You're the week for all sports. Thank you for tuning in with us tonight. D-Locke, how you doing tonight, sir?
Doing pretty well, man. NBA has been pretty. WNBA is actually getting going pretty good, but the NBA is definitely showing a lot of attention right now, especially with the draft and the feed trade. So they've been going pretty solid, man. Jonathan Isaac finally is getting moved, so I'm ecstatic about that. As much as I don't want him to be a free agent, but I mean he wasn't doing too much for us, so hopefully that's a sign of good things to come.
Yeah, the WNBA. I watched the Wings and the Lynx earlier today. Hell of a game right there. And Minnesota, I think once they got out early in that game and making baskets and whatnot, they didn't let up. I mean, Dallas had their runs, but Minnesota, man, they got to steal in Olivia Miles in that second overall pick.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about we'll talk about the draft, the NBA draft later on, but I think between the two, the men's and women's draft, I think Miles probably it's hard. It's silly to say like a second overall pick is a steal, but if y'all know about the situation, the Lynx, how good they have been since they come to the league and the players they drafted, getting her and the way she plays second overall as the second overall pick, it's just been kind of like chef's kiss,
Right.
And then whenever Nafisa Collier, comes back into the fold of things, possibly talking title favorites between them, New York and Las Vegas. But I don't know, a lot of ball left to be decided in that department. But shout out to the Aces. They won today as well. Watched that game as well. So good action overall for the WNBA as well. And also, got a shout out. Found her real quick. Google too much. Let's see. The Toronto Temple player, Marina Mabry, who dropped. Let me pull it up. Make sure I get the stats right.
A massive amount.
53 points against the Sparks. And they beat down the Sparks this past Thursday. 53 points for her, 2 assists, 6 rebounds. Shot the ball very well in that match against the Sparks. So congratulations to her and the Toronto Tempo, who's been playing pretty damn well as an expansion team. And I'll say this, D-Lock. These WNBA expansion teams have come out and played pretty well out the gate. The Valkyrie last year, the tempo this year. I know people say, yeah, the tempos, they 9 and 10 and all that stuff. Still, close to 500.
Mm-hmm.
Solid team. You can't really hate on that. Granted, I know they lost to the Mercury the other night, but still, the point still stands. They ain't the worst team in the league. When I look at
No.
So, congratulations to them and the tempo on that win Thursday. But D-Lock, we got a lot to talk about, lots to get into. Shout out to Terry Rodriguez. We'll get into the draft in the second part of the show, which I'll talk about when we how we doing tonight's show, ladies and gentlemen. We'll do this. We're doing trades first. Trade portion for first part of the show. After that, second half, go to the draft, get to the lottery selections, because if we do the whole draft, we'd be here all night. Lottery selections and then certain picks post lottery. So like the Lakers, that was gonna be there. My thoughts on top five line going all the way down to Philly. I was not happy about that. My dad sent me angry text saying, all these fools better than him. I said, well, I mean, shit happens.
Yeah.
And my I think besides Caleb Wilson goes to the Bulls, D-Lock, Taurus Reed drafted by the Nuggets and going to the Spurs. I think that pick right there can shape San Antonio's future. But I'll dive more into that here in a second. But that's how tonight's show is going to run tonight. Run to here tonight. But D-Lock, it finally happened. The Bucks finally traded Giannis Antetokounmpo plus Bobby Portis to Miami. The Miami Heat sent back Tyler Hero, Khalil Ware, Yami Yaquez, and Kasparis Kanunis, the 13th overall pick of this past draft, and picks and pick swaps, all that good stuff for down the line. The move is Giannis's long tenure with the Milwaukee Bucks, where he became the franchise most iconic player since Kareem. D-Lock, we've been throwing out trade scenarios for Giannis. One for your Orlando Magic, who I think they should have maybe the sweepstakes, in my humble opinion, to kind of put this up for the hump. What's your thoughts on Miami getting the hand is beating out Boston to secure the rights for Giannis?
Well, I think we talked about it. It wasn't possibly not enough for the Heat to take back from Boston. I mean, I know obviously the Jaylen Brown thing was talked about, some draft picks, and they thought that this was the opportunity, who they were going to get. And to me, uh, maybe for Milwaukee, they like the trade from Miami better. I mean, because now I'm looking at this trade, and this depth chart doesn't look bad. I mean, Tyler Hero, Khalil Ware, you got Ryan Rollins, then you got Jaquez. You got some pretty nice pieces, to be honest, from Miami. At first I kind of was like, I ain't too much of a fan of it. But looking at it, it does not look as bad. I mean, like I said, look, you have some pretty solid pieces. Health is obviously gonna play a part. If you can get some good play out of Tyler Hero, I think that'll be huge. You already got Ryan Wallace, who's going to be, I think, a star also. Now see what happens with Kuzma, which is a shocker that he wasn't part of this trade. But you have a lot of good pieces in this trade for Miami. Now for Boston, I mean, now they put themselves in a tough situation, right? Because now you kind of ruffled the feathers of Jaylen Brown, and how do you deal with that? Are they still hearing trades for him. So to me, dealing with that now, there's a different way that you have to approach it. And I think it was what 2 first-round picks, 2 picks in Jaylen Brown for Giannis.
Yeah,
I don't
I
think,
think so.
yeah, I don't think that was probably enough for them to say, hey, to um we want to make this trade. So to me, um, maybe Miami was the best. Looking at it, Miami gave him the best package deal. And looking at, it, I mean, this team is a hell of a lot younger. You got some good solid pieces. I think Khalil Ware could be a pretty good big to me, in my opinion. Um, and what else they do? You got Hawkins, so we know Hawkins get the minutes. He's going to be a hell of a, he can possibly be up for 6 man a year if he get good minutes and plays well for this team. He just plays a role that well. So to me, I think that um, it was a better deal overall. And Miami definitely wanted to take it. Now we got to figure out what they're gonna do when it comes to um the guard position and see how they draft it. But you wanted to pair Bam and Giannis together, and then you also get Bobby Portis. I think the Heat definitely did well with that. And now, like I said, Milwaukee came back with a hell of a package with good picks added as well.
My thoughts on this is like, if this was the best package Miami got, I'm kind of surprised more teams did not hop on this.
Mm-hmm.
Like I alluded to about your Orlando Magic. Unless they kind of looked at everything and kind of thought they were content. I'm saying, but I'm just looking around. It's like, who's needs something like a change to put themselves up? I mean, elevate themselves.
Right.
And I thought the Orlando Magic. I said, people saying, "Why are you saying Orlando Magic?" I said the Magic because of this. They got guys that you can sell high on, and I'm not saying you won't go down terribly, but you be here. I think you get that, and for the Magic, I think you can. Well, they waived Jonathan Isaac, but throwing Suggs, Wagner,
Mm-hmm.
1 to 20, 30 picks, throw in another high salary somewhere in there, and make a move for Giannis and Bobby Portis, or take the contract back of Kyle Kuzma. So I thought more teams should have been on this. If Giannis is cool going to Miami, I think he'd be cool going to Orlando. I mean, at least with Orlando, you can take all the kids or things you wear on your off day and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And go one park at a time and take the time there. But anyways,
Right.
I thought more teams should be on this. From what I read about Boston, that they kind of thought Jaylen Brown and a couple picks was going to be it.
Mm.
And I did it on our show's tweeted for our show's Twitter account or X account, stating like Brad Stevens kind of do his best Danny Ainge impersonation by doing that. And when you kind of hesitating to get Giannis like this, I'm not saying you trying to improve the team, D-Lock, but it's like, what are we doing here?
Correct.
And now y'all kind of did this. Y'all kind of been dangling Jaylen Brown for the past couple of years. Now, he's out here just talking all big type of stuff. Is he the next one to be moved? Hell, where can you move him for? Because Giannis is gone. Julius
Right.
Randle traded. New York ain't gonna trade with you.
Nah, they're gonna keep. They definitely keeping that roster.
So I'm looking around like who can Boston like if Jalen Brown, you and Jalen Brown and Brad Stevens like this, who can y'all trade for him? I mean, trade away for him. You know, and I saw something that that came to mind. I saw that the Blazers are interested in him. Okay, not the world's best spot, but I don't trust ownership. But then D-Lock, I did see this report. The Nuggets are looking to make some moves. It's no secret that they kind of bought too soon on Christian Braun.
Yeah,
I
they
think that's no
definitely did that.
secret. If y'all know, I mean, it could be an outlier that he kind of had a bad season. Could be. But then you see Cameron Johnson might be available, Eric Gordon, Jamal Murray. So between those four guys that I mentioned, I think if you're Boston, I think Denver is kind of the most appetizing spot to make a move.
You'll get a lot back if you. Well, you'll get some solid pieces back if you were to. I think out of all teams, um, that'd be a like you say, you're looking at a few people that you can grab. That'd be a perfect spot for the pieces that you get in return. But um, again, it's the fact that once his name got mentioned in through trades, you're going to be moved at this point. I think it'd be hard to not move him. But now, what are you getting back in return? Because you're expecting to get or hoping to get a Giannis, right? You were hoping to
Mm-hmm.
get somebody that is a Hall of Famer and is going to come in and be ready to go. So now, um, and my thing is about trades. Like we've seen it all the time. Once you have put that name in the hat of trading uh, these athletes, that's like they're good as gone. It's going to be hard to reel them back in and have them be 100% committed, or if you're going to be 100% committed to them, because although they could be superstars, they are expecting, uh, once you make that decision to say, hey, we're not going to bring you back, they're expecting you to be done with them.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not going to come back and say, hey, okay, well, you know what? I don't, I don't believe that's the case. Jaylen Brown said that he felt like this is one of his best years that he's had. He said this is his best year. Um, and for you to say that you're gonna move him, that tells you a lot to him. How do you actually feel about him having the year that he had? So now, best bet is, well, you're not getting Giannis. So now you're trying to get a couple things that's gonna a couple players, athletes that can kind of complement that or be similar. And Denver could be that team, right? Um, they got two untouchable players, in my opinion, only on that team. Everybody else is probably movable. Um, but that team does look like a team that can look at it. There's a few other teams that have some different assets, but that's a team that definitely they should be talking to, especially them being on the West as well.
Look at the Denver Nuggets roster right now. I'm looking at them right now. Let's see. You got Jokic for next season at $59 million. Jamal
Mm,
Murray, $50 million. Damn. Eric Gordon at $31 million. Cameron Johnson at 23. Christian Braun at 21. Now, Jonas Valanciunas, I think is like a different type of contract, but he's at 10 mil, but it's not guaranteed. Zeke Naji, 7 mil. Julian Strother, 4 mil. And Darian Holmes at 3 mil. Now, they do got cap holds of Percy Watson and Spencer Jones. So those two young guys right there, you got to keep in mind they contribute pretty well, especially Percy Watson, who's getting heavy interest.
Yeah,
going to free agency. And I think the only good thing is like make sure he's a restricted free agent. Or Peyton Watson, excuse me. Make sure.
see who their free agents are. Yeah,
I want to say he's a restricted free agent, but let me double check to be sure. Because if he is restricted, I'm not saying teams could make a bid on him, but the Nuggets got to do some heavy lifting if they want to keep him around. And I think that's the thing that I think that's the thing that's going to play in favor of some teams saying like, okay, y'all want to keep this dude. We buy Cameron Johnson on the low. If you're the Lakers, for example, we're kind of looking for some players like that. Hey, we'll give you a future second round pick in 2050. Give us Cameron Johnson.
Peyton Watson is restricted. David Roddy.
Okay.
Spencer Jones, but everybody else look like they're good. Obviously, Tim Hardaway's a free agent. And Bruce Brown as well. So they have like we talked about, they got the pieces that can help out send what Boston can get in return. But it's I said it before, in my opinion, they shouldn't even, to me, I mean, I know who Giannis is, but they won a championship with this same team.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have, it was going to be hard for you. I mean, obviously you're trying to add more to this team, but the only way I'm trading for Giannis is if I can get him paired with Tatum and Jaylen Brown, and that definitely wasn't going to happen. You were going to have to give up something unless you had a third team involved. So to me, I think they were already playing with fire with mentioning his name into this trade, in any trade. And now that he is, you have to figure out how do you deal with this moving forward.
Because he's talking big stuff online right now.
Yeah, let me see.
Like Jaylen Brown has been talking big stuff right now.
Right. So and now, but you've woken that giant. You know what I mean? So at this point, you have to be able to understand how do you deal with that. And to me, Giannis has been traded. So now you got to figure out how do you complement that. Now you do got some other teams, like I said, you still can get involved. I mean, you still should be trying to upgrade their teams. But obviously with Denver, with everything they have, excuse me, could that be a possibility? And we're seeing trades still going on throughout this week. So I wouldn't be surprised if, like I said, you get traded. Another team that you can possibly look out for would be hard to see him actually get traded to is Atlanta. They just got a lot of pieces over there. I just don't know. Obviously, you're talking about it would be possibly a 3-team trade where he goes to Atlanta and Giannis goes to Boston. But that's a team that has some kind of, star there that they can possibly move around. But you've ruined the relationship when you put them in the trade conversation. Now you have to be willing to risk that, and they were. But at this point, I think because you did risk it and it didn't fall through, you've probably made it a bigger problem than it should have been. Because
Yeah.
now I think even if he was going to go all in on Giannis, them 2 picks and Jalen Brown just wasn't going to be enough, and I think they should have knew that. They were trying to get away with highway robbery.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just what that is. You're trying to keep your bench and add a superstar onto it. That's like an NBA 2K7 video game trade. You know what I mean? That ain't finna fall through like that. It's not gonna happen. So to me, um, how do they operate now moving forward, or could they clean this up? Can they get back to the NBA season and Jalen Brown still be in the Boston uniform and not be an issue?
I'll leave it with this trade and the Jalen Brown saga that
Mm-hmm.
still right here. I'll say this for the Heat. I don't think they're done making moves. And just kind of look at the roster right now. Let me look at that real quick. Just look at the Heat roster right now. I think they're not done making moves. And just look at them. If Andrew Wiggins picks up his option, which I think he does,
Yeah.
because I don't see nobody else paying him $30 million. So I think he picks that up. You still got Djokovic, Davion Mitchell. I mean, he's a good hand to have, but I don't think he ain't help you take to the promised land.
Mm-hmm.
So just look at the roster. Do you let no more power walk?
You probably fight anything. You probably definitely trying to get him to come back, especially the trade that you just made. If you can get him back, that's probably your number one priority. Um, and along with the draft that they've had, but you probably trying to get him back.
So I'm just looking at this roster. The front court looks fine to me. If Wiggins come back, Giannis, Bobby
Mhm.
Portis, Bam, Djokovic, that's cool. I'm cool right there. And then I haven't looked at the summer league roster yet of these young guys. They always kind of fine, but you can add like another front court person there too. But the back court, that's what
That's
I'm
what the
looking at.
issue is.
I was like,
Hmm.
Davion Mitchell, Drew Smith. Now, if you can find some guys on the cheap to come, hey, cool. Guys like Keon Ellis, who's available. Max Strus, who seems like he's available in trade talks, in which Kobe Altman is smoking some good stuff on Cleveland. He's going to try to keep Dean Wade over Max Strus. I read that. I was like, are you serious? And then they're looking to get rid of Dennis Schroeder as well.
He wouldn't be a bad option either.
So I think the movement right now is dead, and the free agency starts next. I mean, well, here in a couple of
Officials and
days.
stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's going to be very interesting next couple of days. What's going to come out? Who's going to get moved? But I think this one's done out the way. Now, let me ask you this before we move on. Does Tyler Hero stick around in Milwaukee? I know he's from Milwaukee, all that good stuff. But what some of these other teams needing like a shooting guard and stuff like that, you think he sticks around
In
and
my
be
opinion,
for the beginning of the season?
I look at this roster again because I like. I really looked at. I mean, Hawkes and Ryan Rollins and Tyler Hero, Kevin Porter, Kuzma. I really like this team. I think Tyler Hero can be. Uh, he can play very well with in Milwaukee, especially with the team they got. But now they're loaded at the guard position. But now you got some good competition there. In my opinion, I think Hawkes is a six. I think he's gonna. I think he comes off the bench with the second unit. Now, is that him and Kevin Porter?
Mm-hmm.
But you have those pieces. But does he stay? I think he does give it a chance at home. I mean, again, this team is not. No, he doesn't. I think Miles Turner is a solid piece. You got Ware there. I think Tyler Hero can be that number one guy in Milwaukee. I mean, like I said, you have these good pieces here, but I think he can be that number one option. Now Ron Rollins is a stud too. That's why I'm looking at this team. I'm like, man, this is not a bad put together. You know what I mean? With this group. You know, a very young team. Probably the only person that's probably over 30 on this team is Miles Turner.
Yeah.
And he might be maybe 31. So to me, um, this could be a very good, solid young team that you build around. Um, it's just they don't have that obviously being Giannis being there so long and that player that sticks out. That's something that they're gonna have to get used to that they don't have. But um, I think he stays. Um, change of scenery, he needed that. Um, maybe he's a lot more as tough as it is. Maybe he's lot more disciplined at home.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
it's yeah.
I'll go ahead. Finish up.
Well, I'm just looking at him being hometown hero. You know what I mean? Back at the career, now you got a chance to do something at the house. I think where he's from is literally maybe 20 minutes away from Milwaukee. So he's literally like right down the street from the house. Now you gotta be disciplined, of course, but you got some very good solid pieces around you. I think these guards are probably the better group than that he had with Miami. I think the last time he probably had a solid group like this was back when they went to the NBA Finals. So
Yeah.
to me, I think this is a good piece where he can kind of grow. And not only he's going to grow, but he got some young guys around him that's going to grow as well.
I hope it works out for Giannis in Miami. I hope it works out for the Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
If you're happen to be a fan of the Browns or the Bucks, and you have to think about this, Jimmy Haslam okay to trade for Giannis and okay to trade for Myles Garrett.
Mm. Yeah.
Damn near within a month of each other. I was like, damn.
Yeah.
Two,
Clean
two,
house.
two future Hall of Famers that probably should finish out their careers with the team they drafted them.
Mm-hmm.
Gone. Gone. But hey, what do we know? Anyways. All right.
Seriously.
The Suns, and this trade happened today, earlier this afternoon. The Suns received Miles Bridges, a 2029 first round pick, the least favorable between the Jazz, Timberwolves, and Cavs in some reports. A 2027 pick as well. The Hornets received Grayson Allen, Rosen O'Neal, and a 2033 first round pick. D-Lock, it seemed like the Hornets are. We'll talk about the next one here in a little bit, but it seems like the Hornets are just cleaning out. I hate to say it like this, the knucklehead class.
Yeah.
Miles Bridges is a part of that. Your thoughts on this trade right here with Bridges going to Phoenix?
I love this for Phoenix. They was lacking a four. And I know Royce O'Neal's him and Kendall Johnson remind me so much of the rebounds and defense that they play. But that's what the Suns lacked. They needed a four. Obviously knew what Mark Williams had to deal with. Iguodaro, he stepped in sometimes, but this is a team that was loaded at the guard position. Gillespie, Devin Booker, Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks coming in, like you said, Grayson Allen. They got the guys, but they don't have um any bigs. Now I'm surprised that even though they probably didn't have the pieces, but hell, Phoenix could try to make a move for Milwaukee. I mean, for Giannis. They don't have the pieces for it. Obviously you're not moving Devin Booker or possibly Jalen Green, but they didn't have the bigs down there as well. I mean, Royce O'Neal, like I said, is a solid guy, solid, but I think that they need to go, bigger. And I think Miles Bridges was a great piece. For the Hornets, it seemed like they're on they love what they see out of Brandon Miller and Concanapo. I think they're gonna build their team around those two guys, which they should. Now they're putting some veteran, like you said, they got rid of that knucklehead class. The class is giving issues, and they're going with the younger, the more athletic, and it seemed like the more motivated class. They look like they're doing a hell of a lot over there. So to me, a lot of these moves that they're making, they're grabbing some veterans. Like you said, you went and go grabbed Royce O'Neal also, right? So you're putting pieces around that. You got some bigs, and now you got some defense in there, and your scores are going to be Knuppel and Brandon Miller. And they showed you that throughout this past year. So now you're putting some defense, you're putting some bigs there. So um, not a bad, not a bad pick to me. I think this is a win for both teams. If you ask me, I think they needed to get a little scratch. They see what they see. They see what they seen from their players. You see what you got out of Knuppel, and you see what you got out of Brandon Miller. I think we barely seen Miles Bridges this year. That's because the other guys was doing a lot for them. Another person too is now Kobe White, which we know he could be a hell of a guard if he gets the minutes. So now you got you got a few good pieces. The only issue I have with this team is what's going to happen with their bench, because they need to have some guys, a little bit more guys in rotation. You know what I mean? Like I said, you got Kobe White, Knuppel, Brandon Miller, Naj Reed. Now you need to go ahead, draft well and put some more guys on the bench. I think that's one thing that hurt them. Cockburner should be pretty solid if he get more minutes as well. So they have a young team. Like you said, they wanted to kind of start over and use the younger guy that they got. And maybe this shakeup helps them be more competitive in the East. Uh Obviously the big surprise was LaMelo getting traded, but moving him and Bridges, that tells you whether who's gonna like lead this team. And it looks like it's gonna be Knuppel and Brandon Miller.
Just look at this trade. I think when I say the knucklehead class, ladies and gentlemen, let's be real. If you see enough videos on the internet, LaMelo Ball, I'm not
Got a
saying
lot of stuff going on.
I'm not saying he takes basketball serious, which I think he does, but I just think everything just occupy his time. And I don't know if you saw. I don't know if you remember seeing this video, but I think was it Brandon Miller's rookie year. They like him, Bridges, and a couple of other guys. They took him jewelry shopping before the beginning of the year. I was like, ugh. I was praying for Brandon Miller. I was like, damn, dude. I just hate him going to that situation there because Jordan sold the ownership to the private equity firm. They brought back the coach. I forgot his name. I know his face, but I just can't think of his name right now. Mitch Kupchak was in the front office at that time. So it's just like, but then changes made. And I always say this about Antetokounmpo. He's always been like a godsend for that franchise. Because his rookie year, when Brandon Miller missed time and LaMelo Ball missed time, he stepped up and kind of carried that team during that stretch.
Big time.
And once those guys kind of came back in the rotation, they made a move for Kobe White. I don't say production went down, his points went down a little bit, but the presence was still there. Now that those guys are gone, like Bridges and LaMelo are gone, now we can see, okay, now we can give you the keys to do more. Giving $70+ million to Kobe White is certainly a choice, in my opinion. He came in and played well for Charlotte. I'm not saying that, but like there's good stretches for Kobe White, and the other stretches like, damn dog, I expect a little bit more out of you. And to give him $22 million start up for the new season, and those numbers go up, you asking a lot right there. But when we talk about the other trade here, getting Nas Reed, solid. He's still under 30, can stretch the floor and give you good, legit scoring down low, which I think Charlotte really lacked. So now you got him in the fold. If Bradley Miller can stay healthy, along with Antetokounmpo, Rose O'Neal will give you good minutes off the bench, Trey Man off the bench. I think those things happen. I think it'll go a long way for this Hornets team. They're kind of this close making to the playoffs. So I think with those guys gone in the locker room, we'll see how things shake out. Grayson Allen come back to Carolina. We'll see how that shakes out. But I think it's a win-win for Phoenix. I think you're still trying to retool their roster. They bring back some of the other guys back, Jordan Goodwin, Colin Gillespie. They bring them back. So, getting Bridges there at the 4. Some reason or other, they brought back Mark Williams. So that right there, that lineup there, put Gillespie at the point, Booker at the 2, figure out what you want to do at the 3, Bridges 4, and Mark Williams at the 5. I think you could do something there in Phoenix, but we'll see how they can shake out there. I'll let you have the last word.
I mean, let's not forget that Charlotte was on a hell of a run last year at some point.
Yep.
They did a lot of good stuff. They were moving in the right direction. They had a good winning streaks moving forward, but we did see a shift after Kobe White got there. And the shift meaning we started to see LaMelo Ball being on the bench. And that was a head scratcher alone. I think that's when everything started. Is when we seen LaMelo Ball start to come off the bench. And Brandon Miller, Antetokounmpo took advantage of their opportunities. Now injuries are injuries, but now, as they say, you give another man another athlete opportunity on the injury, you can consider that job to be lost. They take advantage. So um Brandon Miller and you talked about this being a big Alabama fan, what type of athlete Brandon Miller was going to be. So you knew what you were getting when you got him. It is some off the court thing that you had to get situated. But he comes in and he's playing extremely well. Not only that, you add him with now we go get Con Knuppel, and Con Knuppel is hell, they're leading the league in threes. You know what I
Yep.
mean? He's doing a hell of a job over there. So now you got two young guys, and like you said, you ship out the other guy, you ship out the guys that are giving, I guess, the negative energy, and you start with these younger guys. They got to lead it. Now the thing about Charlotte is they do a lot of stuff like the Orlando Magic. What they do is they have a young group and they continue to replace them every couple years. So now, hopefully, with this group that they have, this young group, they can continue to move forward and build with this group. But I also think that's why they made a few trades to bring some leadership there. I mean, Russell Nils is a vet that's going to bring some type of leadership. I believe you had the same thing with Naj Reed. You know what I mean? They're going to give them that positive energy off the court, which is what's needed for those two young guys. So you bring that now. I think this is going to make Charlotte, more of an impact in the East. I mean, they were headed there. They started to see where they started getting those wins. When they start going on a winning streak, they knew the best way they did that, and now they're trying to move forward with that. And again, the shocker of trading LaMelo Ball, but um, it was best for the franchise. And what we're finding out with all these franchises, like I said, you talked about Giannis being traded. Obviously now LaMelo's, a couple other guys being traded. We're thinking that these, Miles Garrett, like you said, being traded. We're thinking that these guys are going to be at their franchises forever and retire there, and that's not the case. That's letting us know that nobody's bigger than the program, as they say. So to me, um, business is business. Decisions were made, um, and they were made for the best, best for the franchise. And hopefully, moving forward, it does work out that way on both sides.
And hopefully it works. Like, hopefully it works. I know people have said a lot of things about Miles Bridges and should he or should he not be in the league due to his domestic issues.
Hmm.
You know, I, that the league. We talked about this years ago. The league kind of softly punished him in a sense
Hmm.
that he didn't get signed nowhere that year when he's looking for a big deal. Like Detroit kicked around the tires, but they kind of like, what's that kid's name? The quarterback down Texas Tech.
Oh, Brent Sorsby, or Brenton Sorsby, yeah.
Kind of like that situation. Like we ain't got to outright suspend you or say you can't play, but you get the hint.
Hmm.
And that's what happened to Bridges. Couple off seasons ago, he lost a lot of money in that. Didn't play all that year. Could have went to Europe, but no team probably will touch him. But it is what it is on that. Going to the chat real quick. Yeah, Marcus, I had to get a cut a couple weeks ago. My uncle died a couple weeks ago, so I always told myself special occasions happen or something like that happen. I got shape up and all that stuff. Other than that, I'll be wolfing it for the most part. Terror. Going back to the Sparks and Tempo game. He said, I guess the Tempo gave the Los Angeles the reverse cards payback for him, and Kobe dropped 81 on them. Yeah, and she was hooping too.
Oh yeah,
But the thing about going back to that Kobe 81 game though, I mean they won, but the Raptors kept it competitive.
yeah.
I said,
I definitely helped them get to that 80, 81, doing that, keeping it competitive. That's something that they like you said, it's still talked about now. So anytime them two states or them two cities match up, that game is always going to be remembered.
So a lot of news coming about. We're keeping an eye on right now. Kawhi Leonard news reports
Mm.
are just coming real hot right now, and I know we can't stay up here forever, but I feel like that news is going to drop whenever we get done with the show. But we'll keep an eye on that right
Uh-oh.
there. But let's get to this one right here. The Minnesota Timberwolves traded for LaMelo Ball and Josh Green from the Charlotte Hornets. The Hornets received Nas Reed, the 2033 first-round pick unprotected, and first-round pick swaps in 2028, 29, and 30. D-Lock, when I did this video through TikTok and I posted on our Instagram account on Fastback RESR. When I did it through my TikTok account, Minnesota fans were sad. They commented and said they were sad about Nas Reed leaving.
Mm-hmm.
They said, there's one girl, she was like super sad. She said, Nas Reed was nice. I'm paraphrasing this. He was nice and well liked in the community and all that stuff. So they seem real. If she's
Bothered
like
by
the
that, yeah.
template of that, they kind of hate seeing him go. Randall, but Nas Reed, they kind of hate seeing him go. But your thoughts on this trade, LaMelo going to Minnesota? Are they swinging for the fences here with this move to kind of keep Ant happy?
Didn't they just sign to a big deal?
Kind of similar to what Charlotte did with Kobe White. Minnesota.
Yeah. I mean, like I said before, I guess they're gonna rely a lot on what Gobert, which we know who he is. They're gonna rely a lot on him down low. I mean, because you a hell of a lot of guards over there. Like you said, keeping Ant-Man happy now. I think Ant-Man can actually play all ball more, so that's gonna play a very huge role. But I mean, does Jaden McDaniels move down to the 4 now consistently? Because Naj Reed is gone, Julius Randle is not there. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it to me, you got another shooter there. Like I said, you're taking less pressure off of Ant-Man, which is a good thing. It's just, are you like you said, swinging for the fences? Are you expecting more out of Gobert now? Is he going to be that defensive player contending every year? Or are you looking to make another move? You talked about it before. We can go to this because for them, I'm looking at what free agents are out there at the 4 position now. Because I mean, you're good at the guard position, but now who's gonna help out? Who's gonna help out? Gobert. You know what I mean? They have a lot of cap space left still.
I'm looking right now.
I see a couple people that probably would be interesting for them to look into.
It's interesting. Sometimes I look at Spot Rack. If you go down the cap hole and stuff like that, it's interesting to see like old players still in the books.
Oh yeah,
Like I look at
that's how the
Minnesota
Lakers are still paying Luol Deng. Yeah,
right
that's how I figured. That's how I found that out. It was so long. I'm like, damn, they still paying this dude.
Like I look at I'm looking at the Timberwolves right now. Aaron Brooks is still in the books.
He
Who
been
else?
gone.
Greg Monroe. He's playing the big 3. And he playing Big Three, and he's younger than me. Damn. Austin Rivers, Evan Turner.
Wow. I haven't heard that name in a while. I mean, and that's what I'm saying. They got some guys that they can. I mean, I'm looking right now. It looks like John Collins is a free agent. Um, Hachimura. You talked about Dean Wade, Yabusele, obviously LeBron. You got some guys to buy, so there's some pieces down there. But they're gonna have to grab somebody big with this move that they just made because you just traded away both of your forwards. You know what I mean? You just traded it with both of your two of your bigs, and expecting Gobert to do a lot. I get it. But I'm not really mad at this trade for Minnesota because now they're loaded up at the scoring, but now you got to move somewhere at this four position. Um, Obviously the big nugget is knowing what LeBron's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be, there's obviously reports saying that the Lakers haven't offered anything yet. We don't know how that's going to go. But does this give other teams an opportunity to take a shot at them? So, and that's just a shot in the dark. Like I said, that actually John Collins probably would not be a bad spot for them. But to me, I actually like this trade for Minnesota. And the reason why I say it because it does benefit Anthony Edwards, who's gonna be your guy for the longest. I mean, he's gonna be there for a while. You want to make sure that he can be efficient as he can. But now, like I said, it just made me scratch my head because why in the hell did you trade away both Julius Randle and Naj Reid? Like you could have kept one of them and still got LaMelo Ball.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. That's the only thing that's making me think like, okay, unless you just moving off some money, like you just made a move that now either way you really gotta fill that spot because Jaden Daniels is not gonna be he's not gonna be your main four like that. So and Gobert, as you said, we all know what Gobert is. So where do you feel that void at? Maybe you can find you a couple of solid power forwards down there that you can just bring in. But all in all, like I said, I think it's not a bad trade in my opinion. I think, like I said, the Timberwolves are trying to move forward. LaMelo Ball is what, maybe 20, 26, 25, if that.
Yeah, I think so. Let me double check that. Yeah,
He's probably
25.
like 20, 25. So you got him and Ant-Man. So now you got those two that's going to be there for a while. Put some pieces around them, and you should be contending in the West. Um, and that's going to be needed. I think they were trying to go after John Moran at first, but um, going for getting LaMelo, I think that was a pretty solid pickup.
Real quick for me, this is a boom and bust. You got rid of. We'll talk about the other trade here, the Randall trade here in a little bit
Mm-hmm.
before we go talk about the draft. This is boom and bust. And I see people saying you can slide Jay McDaniels at the 4 and blah blah blah. No, Jay McDaniels is not a 4-man.
Mm-hmm.
He's not. I think people get too wrapped up in the modern NBA, seeing these stretch forwards and stuff like that. And that's like the template of today's basketball. Find a 7-footer who can do every 1-2 things. They can be an all-around player or a defensive juggernaut. So Jokic at center. If you got somebody like Jokic at center or Wemby at center, or on the upside things, you got somebody like Rudy Gobert at center, a defensive type of guy. And then you can sit like 4 perimeter guys around that big man and let things fly. No, you can't do that in basketball.
Mm-hmm.
The Knicks get away with OG because I think OG's kind of like built like a power forward in a sense. Yeah, he can stretch the floor, but he can go inside. And I think he's like a legit 6'8", close 6'9" type of dude. Yeah, Jamie Dale's like 6'9", but he ain't like a 6'9" I can stick down the block every once in a while.
Mm-mm. Don't got the frame.
When we talk about the draft results here, the Spurs, I like what they did, get some quality big men. Because Julian Champagnie, yeah, you can get away with Giannis, 7'5", stretch arms, all that stuff, and you set 4 guys around the perimeter. But we saw in the finals, D-Locke, you take him out, you kind of left over butt naked.
Yep.
And those 4 guys still got to shoot around the perimeter, and none of them going inside for jack squat. So, I look at this roster. The French kid, Johan Bergner, he's got to step up and play. Dante DiVincenzo, he's going to be out for the year with the Achilles. Mohondo Gay, who they got from the trade with Chicago, all that, and Brooklyn, they said they're already going to waive him, so he's not going to be around. So I'm just looking like, yeah, if they can convince somebody to come on the cheap, cool. But I'm looking at Johan, I say, hey, dog, they drafted you in the first round for a reason, and kind of you got to step up and play. So for me, for the Wolves, it's boom and bust.
Yeah.
And I say this,
you
bring
got
back
some
Mike
good
Conley on the
pieces
cheap.
there. Mm-hmm.
On the cheap for insurance, just in case, and go from there.
Agree. Like I said, you got some pieces that you need some leadership also too. I think I'm all big on that veteran that's gonna come in to play a role. So, like I said, does Goldberg really step up big time? But they want to be competitive in the West, so let's see how this pans out. It's just the fact that we still can remember when they had Goldberg and Karl Anthony Towns on the same damn team.
So we'll wrap this up here. We'll talk about the draft here momentarily. The Wolves. Now, this is like a 3. When we talk about the LaMelo trade and stuff like that, this may be expanded to a 14 trade, maybe more teams from what I read. So the base of this trade could be expanded with Charlotte and maybe another team as well. We'll see the framework of everything. But as this trade stands right now, this past draft, the Wolves got the 33rd pick from Brooklyn and at 33.3 million trade exception. The Nets got Julius Randle and the 28th pick from this past draft, who that was Joshua Jefferson at Iowa State. Goes to Brooklyn. And the Bulls, who I think won this trade, in my humble opinion, D-Locke, gets Nicholas Claxton in the deal. So, your thoughts on this trade? Julius Randle going back to New York, but in the Nets uniform, and the Bulls getting Claxton.
I love the fact that they got Claxton. I think, you got Josh Giddey. You're putting, and Buzelis. We was talking about it before what they needed, what the Bulls needed to get. We're talking about the draft. Knew they were probably going to get Caleb Wilson there. We both expected that. But you can't rely on Richards and Yabusele, who's a free agent, and Jalen Smith. I think I like Jalen Smith, but I like him in a rotational role. Now you got a good defender, in my opinion, in Claxton down there. So I think that is a big plus for the Bulls. To be honest, I like it for the Nets too. The reason why is because I like the fact that we know who team this is, right? We know this is Michael Porter's team. But now you get somebody down there down low, another person down there that they can help with on the offensive side. So you get him, now you're putting the piece together. Julius Randle is what I'm guessing, maybe 28. I don't think he's 30 yet. Um, but I like the pair that what Brooklyn's doing. Now, can they get some of these young pieces and put them together? That's the thing. You got Michael Porter and you got Julius Randle. And we'll talk about obviously the draft pick. Can you have a nice little team to put together to build towards something? Show us where you're trying to get better. Show us what your plan is. That's something that we don't see often, especially from Brooklyn. We see them have Haiti and James Harden and Kyrie, and we see how that panned out. So now you're starting with a team lead by Michael Porter. Got you somebody in Julius Randle. I think that's a decent little pair. And with the Bulls, man, I think this is going to be a big move for the Bulls. That's one thing they lacked big time last year was a big. After trading away Vooch, and hell, even when Vooch was there, I think centers used to kind of do anything they wanted against Chicago. So now you attack the big spot. We talked about going to grab Caleb Wilson, then you went and grabbed Claxton, or vice versa. I like that they are attacking what they need to build from their weaknesses. Josh Giddey's a star. They still have Trey Jones, I believe. So to me, you a solid team to put together now. Now you got to make it shake. We've seen it be close to play in damn near every past couple years. And then they just have a drop off. Now they got a new coach. Can they do something with this roster?
I'll say this to Julius Randle. That ceiling for that Wolves team, making the best chance was when they went against the Dallas Mavericks a couple years ago in the conference finals. I think that their best chance, but then that game 6, they got their ass kicked.
Mm,
And eventually Dallas lost to Boston in the finals. I think that was their best
hmm
shot there. And it just wasn't enough with that group. It could have been coaching, could have been like the roster construction, whatever, but it just wasn't enough with that group to get them over the hump. Edwards has, places displeasure ever since Towns got traded away.
hmm
And now I'm kind of seeing Towns, win the championship in New York. You're probably
Yeah.
looking around like, damn, can I win one here? Or I'm going to be stuck like Kevin Garnett. Now, to say this, Anthony Edwards had more help than Kevin Garnett in his prime. I think we can confidently say that. Wally Zerbiak was fine, but those Wolves teams back in the day, besides that 2003, 2004 season, they were always kind of like 7 AC in the West, getting bounced in the first round. It
Yeah.
was him, Wally Zerbiak, and one-legged Terrell Brandon and Tom Gugliotta. So for Ant, I think he has more help, but it's kind of that it's kind of getting dim right now.
And the
And
West is still tough.
the West is still tough. A team that you were kind of close in the standings with, Phoenix, they made a move. And they might not be done making moves. We'll see what these other teams do. But, I'll say for the Bulls side of things before we take our first break. For the Bulls, I said this in the video. getting Claxton, you move the other guys up. We be talking about, these stretch fours, all that jazz, all that good stuff, no pun intended. But we talk about these stretch fours. I like this trade because you push everybody up. And we talk about the draft, getting Caleb Wilson, you push everybody up the position. Buzelis put on a wing. Patrick Williams, he's a 3-man. Put him in his natural position. You tried it for years for the stretch four, Patrick Williams. Put him in that position. Now you got to work. Now you got Claxton, Wilson, Buzelis. Wherever you do at the 2 position, do you run Trey Jones and Josh Giddey in that backcourt? Are you bringing back Colin Sexton? So, are you bringing either or a Sexton or Simons back into the fold of things? I don't know. But those 4 positions I named that right there, you got a nice starting lineup right there.
Mm-hmm.
If Tiago Splitter can figure things out, you got a nice little young starting lineup right there. That, I'll be honest, probably should be competing for a play-in spot. Round 9 and 10. I know Bulls fans don't want to hear that, but if that young group can get to the 9-10 spot, I think that will show progress. But a lot of things got to go right to them to get that spot. But I like Claxton going here. He still got 2 years left on his deal, so it's not a long-term deal. And we'll see how things shake out. But I like that last word.
I'm picturing right now alley-oops from Giddey to Claxton. Sorry, I'm not remember his name right now for Portland, the center. What is his name? Well, I'm not remembering his name right. So remember Klingon last year, right?
Yeah.
He averaged damn near a double-double. He was killing it. I think that I don't think you see a double-double from Claxton, but I do see him playing a hell of a lot better. I just, to me, this is a perfect situation for him because he had Darren Sharp there, he had Noah Clowney there. You know what I mean? He had all these other guys there, and this team was in rebuild mode. You know what I mean? To be honest, I kind of think this helps the Bulls skip rebuild mode a little bit. You have some solid pieces there, and I mean that by Giddey and Clowney, who are some good pieces with Buzelis, and now you got your Caleb Wilson. So this is going to play a huge role. To me, I think that this is going to be something that's going to play big for the Bulls moving forward if they can stay healthy.
So we'll leave it on that note. I think I'll say this, ladies and gentlemen, I think more deals is going to happen. Like Kawhi Leonard, that noise is not ending. I had no clue what's going to happen to John Moran. But I'll
like
say more.
He's stuck out there right now.
I have more on that here in a second.
Yeah.
What happens with LeBron? Mystery right there. And Jaylen Brown as well. So I think the main 3 is John Morant, Jaylen Brown, and then who else I mentioned? It'll come back to me. But those guys there, LeBron as well, thrown into the mix. And whoever decides to move on from. I think Kawhi Leonard, yes. Those names right there, keep an eye on, ladies and gentlemen, for the next 48 hours and see who gets moved. But we're going to take a quick break. On the other side of things, we're going over the draft, but mostly the lottery selection. So we're trying to zip those through and then kind of pick and touch on upper picks in the first round. But this is Fast Break here, live for iSports Radio. You're ready for sports. We'll catch you on the other side.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the iSports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Which I don't. Well, we had a Planet Jerky sponsorship, but I don't see that video at the moment, so I don't know about that one. So we'll see about that. But anyways, dang, hit the wrong thing. Anyways, follow us on X, YouTube, on iSports Radio. If you're new to us, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the little bell notification. So once we go live every Sunday at 8 Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific, you'll see our lovely faces here. Like I said, subscribe to the X account on as well on iSports Radio as well. And then we'll plug our own Twitter handles in the page at the end of the show. But D-Locke, the NBA draft was predictable. I ain't gonna lie about that. It was predictable for the most part, but predictable in a good way because I enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it. But after the mystery of number one, I think it kind of got interesting who will fit where. And we'll just go roll through them real quick. AJ Dybantsa. I've been trying to pronounce the name for a whole week. Make sure I got it right. BYU goes to Washington Wizards. D-Locke, your thoughts on him going to Washington, in your opinion?
I'm sorry. Very good pick. I don't think I think he's gonna be very good. But I think with the team that they have, man, I'm gonna make a bold prediction and say that this team is already playoff ready before he gets there. And the reason why I say it is because I think you have obviously pending injuries, but Anthony Davis, know who he is. Alex Sarr, I think he had a hell of a season, in my opinion. For those that probably been on FanDuel, I have a friend of mine who talked about Alex Sarr a lot, and he's a big FanDuel guy. So that means he was putting up some pretty solid numbers. Carla Bale, like him. Keontae George, like him. And obviously Trey Young, Bud Carrington. This team is pretty solid. And now you add Dybantsa, I think he's gonna play a huge role. But I don't think he comes in and he's all of a sudden the number one option. So I think he's going to be good moving forward for this team. But you got a pretty solid team over here. But that's a hell of a pick moving forward for this team. I think now we start to see the Wizards being a better team moving forward consistently. And that's even without Anthony Davis, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for me, real quick, he was my number one player on my board, but when we get to pick 4, Caleb Wilson, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Caleb Wilson. Caleb Wilson's kind of. I had Caleb Wilson as my number 2. I know I didn't post a big board, but if I did, Caleb Wilson was number 2. Just because the potential long-term longevity, all that stuff. I had Caleb at number 2 behind AJ. I'll still say you make the pick at AJ number 1 because I still think he still got more room to grow as well. Especially offensively, physically, and all that stuff, that'll come. We all see he's athletic, all that stuff, and then the whole 9 yards. But could we seen down the line 5 years from now that Caleb Wilson could be a fit with this team, and AJ, may have some success, but you look at Caleb Wilson like, damn, we could have went there.
Mm-hmm.
Because Peterson, you could have taken him, but it's just like he had too many questions for me.
Yeah.
He could play. I'm not denying his play, but I've never seen Bill Self go out his way. I mean, I'm not saying coach should defend his players, but I just never seen my years watching and covering basketball and all that good stuff that Bill Self went on his way multiple times in the season to defend a player like this. So, and Boozer, I like Boozer, but I couldn't put him ahead of Wilson and even Peterson as well. But I think AJ, I think he's the right pick. And like you said, I think the Wizards team, everything goes right and Anthony Davis is bought in. That's the thing. If he's bought in, talking potential playoff team.
That's a big if, like you said.
My only hiccup is I'm not really feeling the head coach though of the Wizards. Like,
So with this team that you have, you're probably, I wouldn't want to call for him. I would say right now, in my opinion, whether it's this year or next year, if things are not going how they can be going, I think he could possibly be on the hot seat. That's because you have a solid roster. You know what I mean? You got, Anthony Davis, you got the number 1 pick. You got Trae Young, which we know you just paid a shit ton of money to. You know what I mean? You got a lot of good little pieces over here. So to me, now it's going to be on the ownership of the coaches. We see that in all sports. So, but you're right. The biggest thing you said is if Anthony Davis is bought in, what do you get him?
And that's the thing. Like, can he be bought in? That's my thing. So we'll see. And like I said, the next 48 hours is going to be very interesting how things shape out for the new league year. Number 2, Darren Peterson goes from Kansas, goes to the Utah Jazz. Your thoughts on this pick, D-Lock?
I think my biggest thing is obviously we know, having migraines or being sick played a big part. The big word that you said about Anthony Davis is bought in. I think that's the same thing with Darren Peterson. Do you get him to be bought in? Now, there's a lot of hype on this kid, a lot, and a lot was saying that he should go number one, without question. We was talking about that all year long. But now he went number two.
Mhm.
And it's a motivating thing. We talk about this even with winning time, the show Winning Time. They give us a spill on when Magic Johnson and Larry Bird got drafted and how it motivated, them both. So, but I think Darren Peterson is going to be really good for Utah. Um, I think he plays with a chip on his shoulder. I think right now, I'll call it early. This is going to possibly be your rookie of the year.
Ooh. Ooh.
Bold and early.
Ooh. I look at this roster. They say Peterson can play at the point guard spot. We'll see how that works. They still got Isaiah Collier there, so we'll see how that shapes out. But this roster looks pretty good. On the surface, looks pretty good. I like Will Hardy, the coach out there. I just think, is this the final roster we're gonna get right here? Because Laurie marketing has been in trade talks for the past couple of years. We talking about Jaylen Brown being trade talks, all that good stuff. Marketing's kind of been in the same boat as well. But they haven't pulled the trigger yet. But if they can keep him in the fold, I think if they can keep marketing in the fold, Jerry Jackson at the 5, Markin at the 4, play Ace Bailey at the 3, Keontae George at the 2, and then Darren Peterson at the 1.
Mm-hmm.
You have guys like Isaiah Collier, Filipowski, Sensabaugh, and others off the bench. I think you got something cooking in Utah. Now, what happens with Walker Kessler? I don't know. He's looking for more money. They got a limit. I'm not saying he could return to Utah, but are they going to tell him you can look elsewhere?
That team in LA that wear purple and gold need to be trying to figure that out.
But the only hiccup is Danny Ainge.
Yeah.
And we know how Danny Ainge rolls.
The rivalry, it will never stop.
I gotta there's a list of worst owners in sports. Danny Ainge is lucky he's not an owner, but he's I'm not saying he's a good exec, but it's just it's kind of like F you, dude. Like for real.
Yeah.
Kevin McHale, when he was executive and stuff like that, he was on that BS too. Y'all just. But anyway,
Mm-hmm.
So Peterson, we'll see how the point guard experiment works, and let's see how long he can last in Utah, because that's the main thing. Even getting guys like Gordon Hayward, Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert over the years, they all left. So
how long does he stay?
So that's the thing. How long does he stay? Everybody trying to talk about move Memphis to Nashville and stuff like that. Move Utah at Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
Just a thought. That's the thing I want in Vegas. Moving into Vegas, I think things will change. But just saying. We'll see. Number 3, D-Locke, Cameron Boozer, Duke, goes to the Memphis Grizzlies. Your thoughts on this pick?
I kind of figured, I think these top 4 picks you could have not went wrong. Um, I think this is where Boozer is probably gonna shine at his best. Like I said, I think this was gonna be the spot he was gonna land. Um, I think Memphis still got to figure out what they're gonna do with John Morant and how that's gonna play out. It's gonna be interesting to see what teams are involved because you move John Morant. I'm expecting for you to move some guards. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
To replace. So but I think a great pick, man. I mean, I think right now Cam Boozer has shown a lot. I just think he wasn't gonna go both those two guys. The Boston we knew, like I said, come sign to BYU, we knew he was gonna be, he was. And Darren Peterson. Now another thing is too, not to go back to the Boston, but he is a very, very confident young man. And I like it. I do because you gotta, what I'm saying, you gotta back it up. That's the thing. You gotta make sure you back it up. But he's a very, very confident guy, and that might have definitely helped him make sure he solidified that number one spot, or him to being the best player in this draft. But regardless of these guys, I think you could not have went wrong. I think this is a win-win for Memphis.
I think real quick for me, I'll say this: if Memphis hangs on to John Morant for whatever reason, I'll be honest with you. If Jock stay healthy and stuff like that, you got a beautiful opportunity to create a new partnership right there. I mean, him and Cam Boozer in the pick and roll and stuff like that. And I think Boozer's a better I mean, even coming in, is a better rebounder than Jaren Jackson. I think Jackson
Hmm.
probably a better defender, but I think Boozer could be a better rebounder for you. Now, granted, he got the same height as his dad, but I mean that didn't stop his dad being like a double machine for a good stretch of years in the NBA. So, you look at this squad now with Edie, Boozer down low, you know, Ja at the point. I think you could do some stuff there in Memphis if they keep Ja. Pippen, behind him. I think you could do some things in Memphis. But like I said, it depends if you keep Ja there. If you don't, I mean, you don't. But if you're Memphis, I kind of like the pairing of Ja and Cam Boozer.
And Boozer, yeah.
But that's ifs and buts, and that all depends if John Morant stays. But it don't look like it might not happen. 4, Caleb Wilson out of North Carolina goes to the Chicago Bulls. D-Lock, your thoughts on this pick here?
I'm shaking my head and smiling because I think out of all the picks, as much as we know 1 and 2, I love this lottery pick. Um, I'm gonna I'm expecting the Bulls to have a better season. They're gonna be young, but I think new coach making some moves to to work on the weakness. I think they're gonna be fine, and I think this pick was a hell of a pick. Um, Hell, to be honest with you, even if Cam Boozer was available there, I think they still would have went Caleb Williams or Wilson. I just think he fits what they need. Like obviously they did get Claxton. I love this pick, man. I mean, right now I think North Carolina really missed this kid through the tournament. I
Mm-hmm.
did see his interview. He's gonna be a hell of a pickup. I think he did mention something along the lines that he wanted to play as good as Michael Jordan, and Stephen A was like, "Oh, that's a bold statement." Well, he's confident as well, and that's one thing that you want with these athletes is you want them to be confident. Um, so I love this pick, man. I think he's going to play a big role in this Bulls team. Now, what happens with Patrick Williams and all these other guys? You got a young group. Figure this rotation out. And to be honest, I'm thinking right now this is probably going to be a team that is going to make huge jumps because to me, uh, grabbing Thiago Splitter, um, and seeing what he did at Portland with we weren't high on Portland last year. You know what I mean? We didn't have the expectations of them to get to the playoffs, and they did. So I think with this hire and this draft that they're having, I think this is it's a hell of a pickup, man. I really like this.
I think for me, real quick, I like it. Like I said earlier, I got to put this up earlier. I like it, and I like it only because I think he's got long-term potential, and I like the fit because he fits something down low that the Bulls desperately needed. You tried to stretch force up with Zealous and Williams, which I think with Zealous you got better results. And now you can push those guys up in the natural positions at the 3 spot more on the wing to do more of their work. So now you got Wilson, Claxton, like we said earlier, and Bazilla's at the 3, and then like I said, between Simon Sachs and Sexton, who you bring back there, and then Giddy at the 1. Now you got like a nice, confident starting lineup of your facilitator, your wing players that can cramp off the wing, your stretch 4 who can play inside as well in Wilson. You got to work on that mid-range game, and you got Claxton to clean up things behind the scenes. So I love this pick. This kid got a lot of potential. It was disappointing that he couldn't make the run in the tournament, but such is life. But I like this pick for the Bulls. Bulls fans seem real happy about it, and I love it a lot. 5, Keaton Wagler out of Illinois goes to the LA Clippers. Your thoughts on this one?
Not bad. I mean, we'll talk about him because he's coming up in these next couple picks. But I thought Darius A-Cup was going to go here. I thought he would have been. I was expecting him to be higher, but I think the Clippers now, pairing him with Darius Garland, who we know has injury history. They're trying to put something together with that. And now you're mentioning, we're talking about maybe news later on Kawhi Leonard. Do they start their rebuilding mode? Because right now, you had James Harden, you moved off of that. You had Paul George at one point, you move off of that. And now you're considering or in talks of moving Kawhi, and we know how that's happening. So to me, what is the plan here? But I definitely did like the pick. I just was expecting a different guard there.
Real quick for me, I like this kid Wagler from Overland Park, Kansas. If you're the Clippers, I think you're, like you alluded to, like the Kawhi rumors are not leaving, and they do move Kawhi, then you starting to rebuild. You already traded Zubac back in the trade deadline. Ben Mathurin, I don't know if you can keep him around or not. So if you're the Clippers, why not start selling some assets and get recoup some draft picks that you lost some years ago? I think it's going to take some convincing Steve Ballmer to do that. But at some point, you got to do the trigger. Lawrence Frank, somebody, Ty Lue got to tell them that, hey man, we ain't competing for the next couple of years. Portland's ahead of us. I know the draft lottery odds changed all that stuff, but teams like Portland's ahead of us. Hell, maybe the Utah Jazz is ahead of us. If everybody stay healthy for the Pelicans, they could be ahead of us. So that's 3 teams right there that's named out. And we ain't talking about the rest of the squads. So getting Wagler there to replace Harden, who they trade away as well. Him and Garland in the backcourt should do some wonders, but that front court goes old. John Collins is a free agent as well. So, there's a lot of questions for the Clippers, but at least your backcourt it's kind of situated right now.
Situated. Yeah, I agree.
Number 6, Michael Brown Jr. out of Louisville goes to the Brooklyn Nets. Your thoughts on this selection here?
I like this pick as well. I mean, like I said, I still think this is Michael Porter's team. You went and got Julius Randle. Got you a couple players there. Now you go add a stud like Michael Brown there. I think that's gonna play a big role for this team. You're putting some pieces together because the guard that you've gotten earlier, they did that rookie guard that you drafted, not rookie, but the guards that you got earlier, it didn't play that well for you. So now you're trying to go back and try to add somebody there along with Michael Porter Jr., who, hey, listen, this time he was going 35 a night. This team was still getting blew out. So now you are adding some pieces together. Let's see if they can take this young group they have and improve. That I want to see a plan for this team. You got a nice group of young players. We know who your number one is. You're putting other options around them. Move up in the East. In my opinion, the Heat may not be Heat going to be pretty solid, but they're not going to make this huge jump just yet. I think the East might be wide open. The Brooklyn Nets need to go ahead and make some type of improvement ASAP.
Over recent comments that I did on my TikTok video, recent comments that came up my top TikTok video about this pick. Hope you're ready for him. I got this one dude says, now, when I did the video, ladies and gentlemen, I talked about Michael Brown's back issues. And the reason I think solid pick, I like the pick. Let me put this out there. I like the pick. But let's be real, D-Locke. This man missed games this past year because of back issues.
Mm-hmm.
Not my saying. That's what the team reported. He missed games throughout the year because of back issues. Now, I had Louisville fans up in my comment section saying he was never hurt. His dad did not want him to play anyways. I'm sitting there watching the draft right here. My TV right here in front of me. That had his mom and daddy sitting down on the couch right there talking to Lisa Salters. They ran a little clip or talk about that this out of their own mouths that that man couldn't get out of bed at days at Louisville. Not my words. That was on national broadcast television right there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just saying this. I say it's a boom bust pick because, like you said, I thought A-Cup was going to go here. We'll talk about A-Cup here in a second before we wrap up. But I thought A-Cup will be the pick right here because you need a little juice in that backcourt. You didn't go all the way with Cam Thomas. You kind of just neutered him throughout his time there. And I know Michael Brown's a Brooklyn kid, but I think A-Cup would probably be the better fit. But this is like one of those boom and bust picks right here because if his back situation ain't the best, D-Locke, well, you could look at his teammate and Michael Porter Jr. to see how that shapes out. And Michael Porter got paid. I'm not saying he didn't get his money. But let's be real, D-Locke. We've been talking for the past few years. If Porter Jr. didn't have the back issues, could we be talking about a different type of player? Look at Ben Simmons. The back issues with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I say Michael Brown can come in. He can come in and play very well. But if he's on TV saying that he's having trouble getting out of bed, then at 18 years old, 19 years old, he having those type of issues then.
Yeah, that's scary.
So I hope the kid does well. But
But hearing that
Louisville
at
fans,
18, 19 is
like y'all gotta chill in the comments. That's all I gotta say. Darius Acuff at pick 7 goes to the Sacramento Kings. Go ahead. What you think about him going there?
I think they got a steal. I just think that they got a big time steal. Now, what do they do with him is the question. Um, I said earlier that I believe Darren Pearson is going to be Rookie of the Year. I think the person that's going to be in that talk is going to be Acuff. He's outstanding. It sucks because we see players go to the Kings and they don't look the same. You know, whether they get drafted, they get traded, or they sign there. So we just seen they former head coach who took them far just go win a damn NBA championship somewhere. So what do the Kings do with Acuff? That's a huge time steal at 7. In my opinion, hell, if I would have seen Acuff moving like that, and I'm the Orlando Magic or see some of these other teams that are looking at guards, I'm trying to trade out because I think he's that good. So, but great pick for Sacramento. See what you could do with a Lamborghini.
I said it like this. I'm gonna pray for Acuff, and hopefully things go well. But the Kings are a mess. Excuse me. The Kings are a mess. Jack Levine may pick up his option. You got other hurt players on that roster. Sabonis.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's another name I forgot to mention in trade talks. Him. It's just like a hot mess of a roster. You drafted a point guard 2 years ago in Carter, who you kind of neutered him. I'm just gonna pray for the kid, and I hope he works out. But that ownership on down sucks ass. I don't know what between the owner and then Jeremy Lamb making decisions. It's just like a mess in Sacramento, but we'll see. Pick 8, D-Lock. Kingston Flemings goes from Houston, goes to Atlanta Hawks. Your thoughts on this pick?
Not bad. I mean, I think this is where obviously was best available starter to come in with some of these lottery picks, but he lands in Atlanta, man. I think this team is already talented. They just added more, more depth to that guard position. They already got some good depth there. Let's see what he brings to the table, especially with those guys that they have. You talked about Dyson Daniels playing at 3. They need another guard, and that's what they did. They grabbed one.
Good move. Good pick for them. They need a guard, and then you bring back McCollum for another year. So I think you kind of get some balance right there, and you're not pushing him to the starting lineup. I mean, so early. So good spot for him to be behind the second team, behind Dyson Daniels and those guys, and to kill Alexander Walker and CJ McCollum. And then, as reports are saying, Buddy Hield is being brought back as well. So, does Buddy Hield stay? We'll see. But right now, Buddy Hield stay in the fold with the Atlanta Hawks. All right, we're gonna jump around real quick. I want to get your thoughts on this one. Yaxel Lindeborg goes from Michigan, goes to the Golden State Warriors. What's your thoughts on him going there?
I mean, to me, I think that was a good pick. They got to get younger, man. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing with this team is we know what they've had for the longest, but now they gotta get younger. And For them to get a lottery pick and get him, I think that was a definite need. I mean, now, uh, obviously, you know who you got for Steph and other guys. Draymond, I think his time is coming to an end soon. So now you bring in some more forwards up in there and see what they can do. Now he's an old rookie, in my opinion, but it's somebody that's gonna come in and play immediately.
I did a whole bunch of videos and stuff, and I kind of stopped at one point, but I'll probably resume here in a couple of days. Just kind of do like a couple of days. But when I get to this one, this kid here, I don't know, just bad first impression at the press conference, saying
True.
I never liked Steph Curry. I was more of a Kyrie dude. And then the Draymond stuff, trying to keep that Michigan rivalry there. It's like, it's like, so hopefully, and like Kitty Smith said during the draft broadcast I watched, Golden State, you can come in as a rookie and play and contribute, or you can play, but you may have a short lease and not see the court for a good while. Which one is Leonard Board going to be? Like, he fits their style, but I don't think this was the right pick for them to make. If that makes sense. Like, he fits their style. Stretch four on that stuff, can play multiple positions. But I was looking in the pick after, with AD Mara going to OKC, I thought maybe
That could have went.
okay.
Yeah.
The swingmen, the 6'9" guys, they trying to play in the five.
swap.
I mean,
hmm
grab the big man right there. I know
Yeah.
Chris Porzingis back. I mean, that's all fine and dandy. But I thought Mara probably the better move
The Golden State.
for Golden State because you need like legit five down there. And I think Mara could be fine. But I think it all depends, even with Lindenborg, it like depends on how Steve Kerr treats things.
Yeah, that could be. You're right. I mean, I think Mara would have been probably more, and we'll see. But he could have played a hell of a lot more for Golden State, knowing what the Thunder have. You know what I mean? So we just got to see how it play out. And obviously, like he's going into that practice with Draymond, and they got obviously rivalry thing and what he said about Steph. That might be some interesting practices going on there with that.
Let me go to 22 here. LeBron Thylon, who kind of dropped in the draft in a sense, goes from Alabama, goes to the Philadelphia 76ers. Your thoughts on this one here?
I wasn't expecting him to drop that far. My question is, how often is he gonna? I mean, they have great after they have one of the best guard situations in Philly. You know what I mean? Edgecombe, obviously Tyrese Maxey. So finally getting in, where is he gonna get, a lot of that play? Now what happens with Quentin Grimes? Do you just continue playing? Do you continue playing him at the three? To me, I just feel like this is gonna get very interesting because now, uh, you got small 40 caliber, you got Quentin Grimes. These guys are gonna get their play, but now where does Fyline fit in at? To me, minute wise, I love the pick, but how much do we see him play? That's my biggest thing. So I think we do see it happen. I mean, to be honest, hell, Philly probably wasn't expecting him to fall there.
Pardon.
So the fact that it happened, it kind of made them think, okay, damn, you know what I mean? This is the situation. So now, yeah, I mean, you that's that best player. That's that best player available pick. I mean, and you can't go wrong with that. Um, Shit, if we thought Philly was good last year, they're gonna be better this year. But it's just where does he get the minutes?
I think real quick for me, before we get out of here, I hate it for him to drop like this, but at least he goes to a situation that I think he'll get some run. Quentin Grimes is a free agent. Now, could Philly bring him back? I'm probably sure they probably work to get him back. But I think, you're not going to ask a lot of him out of the first year. Maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like Edgecombe came in and played brilliantly from beginning of the year to all the way to the end. So I think if he finally could come in and be a contributor, I think to go a long way for the Sixers. I just hate that he dropped this low. Kind of look how things shaped out for the rest of this draft. But I think once some of the big guys start going in the lottery, you had that stretch of big guys go through. And I think he kind of fell in that spot. But I'm happy for him. He goes to a good spot. We'll see, what he does in Philly and whatnot and how he contributes to the team. But we'll see how things shake out for him in Philly.
This team should be good, man. I'm Maxi Edgecombe filing Paul George, Kelly Oubre. I mean, what team is on the East is as deep as this team is right now? Outside of the New York Knicks is a hell of a squad. The Hawks is gonna be solid, but you have an all-star in Joel Embiid as well, and that's, to me, I'm still stick to that. This has been the same issue since the Ben Simmons thing. They're getting guys in here and they're looking good, and they're having the same prop, but then, you know what I'm saying, they're getting to the same stop. Why is that at this point? I mean, that's just the question that we're gonna keep having. You're grabbing more pieces. People are falling to you that you're not expecting.
Yeah.
What are they gonna do?
Very true. All right. We got to put a big pin on this. Follow us on X at Fastbreak RSR. How can people find you on social media, D-Lock?
Black Dash 813. If y'all see me say hallelujah to James, Jonathan Isaac getting waved. That's just me feeling not nothing bad against the kid, but finally. So, but Black Dash 813, let them know they can find you on the show's page.
Spawn 4288, like I said, Fast Break at ISR right there. Till then, gentlemen, next week, free agency will begin here in a couple of days. We'll break down the moves as they happen, and we'll see what happens. But till then, we'll talk to y'all later.